Exactly 7 minutes past the top of the hour. Time for our health conversation this Tuesday morning, and we focus on lupus, a condition rarely talked about, has the ability to affect both men and women. And according to the latest survey done in 2020, it indicates that in this country, about 20,000 persons suffer from that. 1 in every 6 people suffer from one form of lupus or the other. That is what we navel gaze for the next 15 minutes, and for the same, I have created FaceTime with Verkita Dabral to my far right, who is the brand ambassador for lupus. Right next to her is Mariam, Karanja, lupus warrior. Ladies, karibu to the program.
Thank you.
Let's just broach this discussion from basically understanding what this condition is, because you realize even off air, I was learning whilst you are coming on air, and I'm thinking in my head, much as this month is the Lupus Awareness Month, happened on 8th of May, but it continues throughout the entire month of May, there might be less knowledge of what this is. Let me just pick it up with you, Verkita, on this one. Yeah. What is this?
So lupus basically is an autoimmune disease. It's when your immune system attacks your body organ or tissues. It's a very customized disease. Every lupus patient has different symptoms, the way they react to medication from the other. Like Mariam says, it's affecting her heart. For me, it's affecting my kidneys. My symptoms started when I was 25 years old. By the time I was diagnosed, it was 10 years later.
So that at 35 is when you were diagnosed? Yes,
and the damage was done.
Yeah.
Yes. So it's not a disease that can be diagnosed easily or something that can be picked up straight away.
Yeah.
So it's up to the medical practitioner who's dealing with you.
Yes, and I mean, I was just preparing for this discussion and I came across the fact that only 8 qualified rheumatologists in this country?
That's correct.
Against a population of 50 million Kenyans?
Yes.
We'll come to that momentarily. Nonetheless, you did mention autoimmune.
Yes.
And Mariam, perhaps you can explain this to us also based on your experience and your journey with this condition. When you talk about autoimmune kind of disease, what basically does this mean?
Well, an autoimmune is a disease that it affects your body. It's a disease that it kills the white blood cells. It makes the white blood cells see your organs like diseases. So when you're having an autoimmune disease.
So just allow me to butt in so we can create context and understand what you're talking about. White blood cells is responsible for
fighting the diseases.
So when this condition weakens, they can no longer fight diseases.
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
Keep on.
Yes. So when it weakens the white blood cells, now it's stronger in the body. So now it attacks you.
So the lupus is strong in the body?
Yeah.
All right.
So now the white blood cells, as the soldiers of the body, now it's like they are non-functional. For example, like you can get a cold, a normal cold, and you stay with it for like months.
Yes.
Like for me, if I get a cold, I can stay with it for like 3 months. A normal cold.
This is whilst you're on medication?
Yes.
But you still have the cold?
Yes. Because sometimes, even if you're taking the medications, the body resists the medications. Mostly if you've taken the medication for so long, so the body like gets adjusted to it, so it doesn't like recognize the medicines inside you. So it makes the lupus now wake up in a double portion, and it attacks you twice badly. So that makes one to go to the doctor, back to the doctor, and you changed drugs. But now, the worst case scenario is you're given a higher dose, like a higher power in that drug, which unfortunately, that drug, fine, it's going to help you, but also it's going to destroy something inside you.
Which is what?
Anything.
Just to jump in, so as an example, you actually take immunosuppressants. That is part of your drug. So that is actually killing your white blood cells, and that is why you become very prone to infections like a cold and flu.
So part of the medication is also responsible for killing of the white blood cells?
Yes.
So we are saying that your immunity to fight diseases is completely
zero.
Done.
Yeah.
Yes.
At times, your treatment could be chemotherapy, and at that time, your immune system is practically zero. So the way everyone lived during COVID times, that is how a lupus patient is generally 24/7. So even when COVID hit, but that was our lifestyle. You're a germaphobe. You always make sure you're sanitized. When you go out in public, you have to make sure you're wearing a mask, because someone's flu can kill you.
Yeah.
Because now you're susceptible to this.
Yeah.
So really, what then causes this condition? Because there's no data?
No. So I think majority of it is genetics, from what we've read or what I've read. But like in my case, nobody has it in my family. So maybe it was stress related, some trauma that happened in my childhood, or actually it could be the sunlight.
At your point of diagnosis, Verkita, what did they tell you?
My symptoms started when I was 25 years old, and at that time I'd moved my jobs. So I'd gone to a very stressful workplace. So the doctors pegged it on depression, or some doctors told my parents that I was actually on drugs. So I had to live with that pain for a good 2 years until that flare-up went down. So with lupus you have flare-ups. You will have some good days and you'll have some bad days.
Your mood keeps changing?
Your mood doesn't change, you just can't function.
You just can't function?
No, you can't get out of bed. Like, you're in so much of pain, sometimes in the middle of the night, just to turn, you have to hold your leg and turn your body. That's how much of pain you are in, and there is no medication that they can give you, like especially in my case, because it's affecting my kidneys. So you live with that pain.
Actually, a lupus person, you're moody 24/7.
Yeah, that's what I was asking. So then your mood keeps fluctuating?
You're moody 24/7, and if you're with people who don't know what's going on with you, now they'll start judging you in a very harsh manner. Small things annoy you really fast. I don't know if it's the case with you, but for me, small things annoy me really fast. Or when I get hungry, I get annoyed. I don't want to see anyone.
When you get hungry, you
get annoyed. Yes, completely.
Is it because of the steroids?
I think so.
Because the
That's part
steroids,
of the medication.
It's a lot of medication. Like I take, at the moment I'm taking 30 pills because I've reached end-stage kidney failure.
30 pills was a
day.
Time frame, a day.
A day.
So you have to cut across breakfast, lunch, and supper.
Yes.
30 pills.
I take 15
a day.
A day.
Yes. So okay, let me start with you, Verkita. So this 30 pills a day.
Yeah.
Morning hours, how many do you take?
Around 10.
Around 10.
Yeah, so there's some that I can take before a meal. So when I wake up, I'll start with that. Then I'll have breakfast. Then I'll take that. Pills. Yeah, and then I have to have my lunch, because then with this comes with a lot of acidity. And the initial medication that I was actually given for acidity got banned globally because it was leading to higher cases of cancer. So even the medication that we get, you'll hear a few years later that it's been banned because of XYZ. There's a lot of side effects with the medication.
What are you consuming in your body if this is banned? Okay. Fine. I mean, this just orients my mind to think of a lot of other questions. But I want to begin on this one with you, Mariam, because we are saying that we have different forms of lupus. It's not just when you say person X has lupus, person XYZ, it's lupus as is. It's different forms for different people. And perhaps you can tell us why is that? Why does that happen? Because you realize yours is different from what Verkita has, but it's still lupus.
I think it also depends with actually what triggered your lupus.
Okay.
Because there are people who are triggered by the sun. So most people who are triggered by the sun, they usually have lupus called SLE, which is a very dangerous lupus.
When you say triggered by the sun, what do you mean?
The UV rays. When they get inside your skin, it damages your cells. So it starts contributing into other things inside you. So you start getting sick. Your immune system is low. And then when you start now having low immune system, now other things start affecting you. Because mostly you start having headaches. Like for me, I started having a lot of headaches.
Those are the first symptoms you saw?
For me, yes, because everyone is different.
Yes, yes.
So for me, I started with headaches, fatigue, and then when you start now having those symptoms, definitely as a human being, you'll go for painkillers. And it will make
you'll sleep a little bit more.
And
to deal with the fatigue.
Funny enough, the painkillers make it worse. You'll feel relieved, but inside you, it's doing something else. Because it's not the medicine for what is actually hurting you. So when you give lupus the wrong medicine, it's like you're feeding it food. So it grows and it grows.
Which one is the one you're...
Mine is an SLE. There's different types, like how she has the nephritis. There's another one called DLE. DLE, it's not that dangerous like an SLE.
That's a drug-induced lupus, so it can be reversed.
So SLE, which organs are we talking about in the body?
All the organs.
All the
organs. Brain, the heart, the kidneys, all the organs in the body. It affects everywhere, even your hair.
Is it that it has the tendency to affect everywhere, or it actually does affect everywhere.
It does affect everywhere.
But you, it's the heart.
Mine, it's the heart and the joints, the skin, but now the skin I've been able to control it. Now I can manage it because I usually wear sunscreen. I can't get out without sunscreen because the sun will really hurt me completely because it eats my skin. Yeah? Yeah. And fatigue, lot of fatigue. Lot fatigue. There are things that I can't do. Like I can't do chores, house chores, and also do something else. So it's either I do house chores and that's it. Like I wash dishes and that's it.
So you can't wash dishes and cook and wash the house at the same time?
No.
Verkita, SLE, DLE, nephrology, and I'm just baffled to imagine that actually this can affect every organ of your body. So what remains of someone if this is a case scenario?
And also the medications also affect you in the long term. So apart from the disease itself, you have to work with the symptoms coming from the drugs. So
the side effects?
The side effects. Like one of the main, I think, or the common medication that all lupus patient takes is the HCQS, which is malaria medication. Can't really explain how it helps to manage lupus, but it does. But long-term use of that damages your eyes. So you have to see an ophthalmologist every year to see how the damage.
Whilst you're trying to manage the lupus with the medication, you're also seeing
your other body organs, because the steroids will affect your heart. Same thing, it's happened to me as well. My heart is affected because of that. You get a fatty liver because of that. So you have to keep
your heart
a watch.
Is affected because of that, but then the organ that was affected with this condition was actually the kidneys.
Yes. So you have to keep a lookout on everything. I have a fatty liver because of that. Your diet has to change. Sometimes you may be totally clean, you have a clean diet, but because of the medication, you'll have high cholesterol. Yes, your sugars will be high. But it's not because of you. It's because of the medication.
But also you can't live without the medication.
Yes. Yeah.
You are telling us, Mariam, that for you, like someone would look at you and say that perhaps you just have an eye problem. You're wearing specs, but you're wearing both contacts
and glasses.
And glasses.
Yes.
And for those people with eye conditions, it's either like eye, you either do the specs or you do contacts.
Yeah.
You choose. Yeah. But you have both.
Yeah. Well, before I started wearing contacts, I started having problems with my eyes. I couldn't see one eye, my right eye. I almost went blind. And little did I know it was lupus eating my eye. So I went to an optician. I was given some eye drops, which worked for like 2 to 3 days. And then my eyes became worse. And then now I decided to go to an ophthalmologist. When I went to ophthalmologist, I realized I had something called keratitis. Keratitis, it's pus coming out of your cornea, which is caused by lupus. So that's why I'm wearing contact. My contact it's like a bandage. Like the way we'll have a wound and then we put a bandage. So the contact is like a bandage. It's covering the wound inside the eye. So the dust particles and all that will not get into the eye and make it worse.
So at this point, what exactly then does someone treat? Because you have the eye to treat, you have the kidneys to treat, you have the heart to treat. It's quite a lot.
It is. So you have a group of doctors and they have to be in constant conversation with each other.
And I'm thinking about the cost implication of this.
Yes, and no insurance company covers lupus because there is no cure for it.
Yeah.
And even the management is very customized. It might work for someone it might not. Yeah.
So then, before I go to your diagnosis at the age of 25, you were diagnosed at 15?
Actually, mine came at around 23.
At 23?
But I started having the symptoms at 15 years.
That's quite a long time.
Yes.
Nonetheless, before we come to that diagnosis bit of it, again, for more context of this discussion, we've talked about headache, fatigue as key signs and symptoms. What is this that someone who's watching, even as a brand ambassador, Verkita, that you would want to tell them that when they see some of these things, they shouldn't take it lightly. They shouldn't go to the over-the-counter drugs.
Yes.
They need some serious attention. What is this?
So you know when you have a flu, you feel lethargic, you have that numbing pain in your body. That's what a lupus patient feels like every single day. You wake up feeling sick. You have joint pains. In my case, I had the headache. So if you have such symptoms, I would suggest go see a rheumatologist.
So don't just take headache lightly.
No.
Fatigue lightly.
No.
Joint pains.
Yes.
Rashes. You said rashes.
The butterfly rashes.
Yeah. Butterfly rashes.
rashes.
Where exactly in the body?
It could be anywhere.
Anywhere.
Yeah.
So this constant rashes that you say could be protein. Just don't
Yes.
take it lightly.
Yes.
There could be something deeper than this.
Yes.
All right. Well said. And we'll keep reminding our viewers as they watch this because this is the Lupus Awareness Month. But then diagnosis coming at 25. That's when you are?
That's when my symptoms
That's when
started.
your symptoms started because
Yes.
you're diagnosed at the age of 35.
Yes.
10 years later.
And even that because I got pregnant. I had 2 miscarriages.
Before then, Verkita, what was this that was happening between age 25, from when the symptoms began, to age 35? This 10-year period, what was happening? Because I'm thinking, you also can't keep going to the hospital just always for headaches.
Yes,
And
yes.
There must be something deeper than that.
Because that was what my life was for, like, I think the first 3 months when the flare-up was very aggressive. I'd be at work Monday to Friday, Saturday and Sunday I'm in the hospital on steroid IV because to numb the pain and all that, but nobody knew what was wrong. So you live...
So what are they treating you for?
They had no idea.
So drugs is for what?
The steroids was to now help with the pain. So it helps, so you feel normal for like 3 days and then the pain comes back again.
So let me get this. So the headache pains.
Yes.
The joint pains.
Yes.
The fatigue, because you didn't have the rashes.
No.
So they're giving you steroids to treat this?
Yes.
Okay.
And then, yeah, so at the same time you're going for MRIs, you're going for CT scans, you're seeing an ophthalmologist, you're going to see a dentist, you're going to see an ENT, trying to figure out what's causing that pain. Eventually they said I had something called occipital neuralgia, is when a nerve gets pressed in your brain. You can't really pick it up in a CT scan or an MRI. But that was not the case. It was lupus. So and then as a patient, you figure out what your flare-ups, what your triggers are. So for me, it's the sun. When you go in the sun, you know the headaches are going to begin, so you avoid the sun. If I eat a lot of chocolates, that's going to trigger pain, so I stopped eating chocolates. So as a patient, I think it's an inbuilt thing. You start figuring yourself out if no one can, and how you're going to stop this pain. But over those 10 years, yes, you have those flare-ups, live with the pain, wait for it to subside. And just, yeah, you have to move on with life. There's nothing you can do. Because no one wants to believe you. People think you're lazy. People think you're making up stories. The doctors told my parents I was on drugs. I wasn't on drugs. Within this 10-year period that they still couldn't find what exactly was wrong with you. This is what they were telling your parents. Yeah. Depression and on drugs. Yes. Before I continue further, I want to still stick within this 10 years. I'm trying to establish something because I'm trying to also think in my head and perhaps put logic to it, and I just can't wrap my mind around it. How you'll be treated for something not known, and the medic is giving you this medication and they can't ascertain what exactly they're giving you medication for, but then they're just putting pointers here and there. It could be depression, it could be this, it could be that, but then they're treating you for it. And you can imagine the kind of stigma you're getting around this, because then you're thinking you're lazy, there's nothing you can do. No one's believing you, and you don't know what else to say, because physically you look okay.
I mean,
like I said, right now you can't tell I need a kidney transplant, but my kidneys have failed.
Both of them?
Yes. That's what this disease does. That's why it's so hard for someone to believe you.
Indeed it is.
You don't have to end up in the hospital for someone to believe you.
But it's killing you slowly.
It is, It does. And you're told that actually when you're diagnosed, that there is no cure. The medication will try to stop the damage, to try and slow down the damage, but it will not stop it.
All right. Before I go to the kind of knowledge you had about it at the point of diagnosis, let me come to you, Mariam. You're saying 23 is when the symptoms...
Yeah,
no, they began at 15.
At 15.
Diagnosis at 23. This time, what was your experience? What was happening to you? What were they telling you?
You know, when I started feeling sick at 15, I was in high school. So I started feeling sick the normal way. I get sick in school, I'm taken to the clinic, I'm told I have malaria. And then after 2 weeks, I get sick again. I'm told I have amoebiasis. To the extent, even the teachers now started telling me that I'm faking it. But right now, the lupus was being born inside me. At 23, that's when now I started getting sick completely.
You can't do nothing.
I couldn't even walk. I was being lifted like a handicapped. I couldn't touch a spoon because the nerves are affected. So you're feeling pain. A glass like this, I couldn't do this because you're feeling pain, even scream. It's like you're touching nails.
When you do this? When you just touch like this?
you feel like you're touching nails or fire. You know, though you can put your hand into fire, that pain. That's when now we decided to go to the hospital, because now even walking was a problem. So we went to the hospital. I was done almost 30 tests so that they will know what exactly it was. But my first 30 tests, when they came out, I was told I have leukemia. But then again, the doctor said no, so I had to go back and do another 30 tests. And then this test, when you're doing this test, they are being sent out.
Yeah.
They're not being done here. They're being, so you're told, wait for like 2 to 3 days for them. So by the time the doctors realized it was lupus, I had seen a neurologist, I had seen also a gynecologist, and then I started seeing a rheumatologist. That's when it was discovered it was lupus. But that journey has been a journey of pain. It's been a journey of stress, because it also affected my mind at some point, because all the time you feel you're stressed, and then when you ask why you're stressed, you don't know why. You feel tired, sleepy, you don't want to socialize with anyone, yeah? So at 23, when it came out, now I was put on steroids, prednisone.
Yes.
I was put on steroids for like 2 years. Now, in these 2 years, my teeth now got affected by the steroids. Now I started having implants, doing implants, removing teeth. If I eat something hard, my teeth cracks. Like a chapati, my teeth cracks. So I have to be replaced that tooth.
Just hold it there, Mariam. We are due for a break. I don't want to rush you through this experience. It's important for us to understand what exactly this is. I mean, that's the whole context of having this awareness month. It's class 101 for me as well. So it's quite important for us to all learn. Nonetheless, we are due for a break. Plenty more coming away after this breather. Don't go anywhere. This is Good Morning Kenya. Stay with us. Well, we definitely appreciate your valid company to this discussion. I can tell you for sure the discussion is just as informative and as good off air as how it was on air, and we continue with that discussion, still holding court with Verkita Dabral, who is a brand ambassador for Lupus. Right next to her is Mariam, Karanja, Lupus warrior. There's really quite a lot to discuss. Every time you keep mentioning and saying something, you just orient my mind to think deeper into what we need to discuss. But before we even get further to the cost implementation, misdiagnosis and how to handle that, even the diet. Like, I'm surprised you can't take fruits. And you're told that's the most, it's nutritious, it's good. But then before that, Mariam, you were just telling me about your experience and how this affected you at the point of now diagnosis.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My life completely changed. Everything about me changed. Even having time with my friends changed. Because now you wake up with pain, and then other people, you're expecting to meet people, so you can't. So you have to cancel that meeting. Yeah. The sun also affects me. I can't go out in the sun and just burst outside there and have the vitamin D. I can't. So I'm taking vitamin D supplements, because now the sun makes my lupus worse.
So that which we enjoy freely, you have to pay for it.
I have to pay for it. And if I really need that breeze, I go under a tree or a place that has a balcony. Or if I really have to get out, I'll have to wear clothing that will actually have to cover each and every part of me. If it's my head, I have to wear a hat. If it's like here, my hands, I have to wear a sweater, trouser, yeah? Because the minute that sun enters my skin, the UV rays, I'll start getting itchy. Really itchy. I'll scratch to the extent I might even hurt myself.
It's a trigger for you.
Yeah.
The management of it is quite a lot. Verkita, it was your miscarriage that got to the point of understanding what exactly you were suffering for.
Yes.
How did this happen?
So my second miscarriage happened when it was at 6 months, and at 5 months during the ultrasound, they noticed that the fetus wasn't growing as per the way it's supposed to. I had to go for extra tests, and they saw clots in the placenta. That time the doctors tried to give me whatever medication they could to help me try and maintain that pregnancy, but my blood pressure reached so high that we had to terminate it. So after that, when they did the testing, they found clots in the placenta, and that's when my gynecologist told me I might have an autoimmune disease and I should go see a rheumatologist. I went to see a rheumatologist. 6 months of testing is when we found out I had lupus. 3 months after that is when we found out it had damaged my kidneys. So I found out I was diagnosed with lupus in 2016, and in 2017 March is when I found out my kidneys were damaged, and by the time I found out, my kidney function had reached 36%. So I'd been living with damaged kidneys for a very long time. I had swollen feet. I used to swell up a lot, but that was because of the water retention, because my kidneys were getting damaged. I just didn't know that. There was protein in my urine that no doctor picked up, but it was right there from day one in all the tests.
So then, talk to me about this misdiagnosis. And again, from what you've gathered, also just as a brand ambassador, from your experiences as well, what would you really attribute this to? And why I ask this question is because it's not the first time, the second time you would hear a case of misdiagnosis, especially on such conditions. But then you realize the number of lives that are lost as a result of this. You can imagine if at 25 it was detected, or even at 30, or even at 27, at 35. And so you can imagine also this is the point whereby you had a miscarriage. So assuming if you didn't have, you still wouldn't have known what exactly this is. What would you attribute this to from the experience?
It does eventually boil down to the doctor you're going to see. And it's for them to pick up the correct symptoms, unfortunately. But
they're not even there. I mean, 8. Is it 8?
See, that's a rheumatologist. I don't know, as a general practitioner, I really can't speak on their behalf. But yes, it's just the knowledge, just to create awareness. So even when I found out I had lupus, I didn't know what it was. I Googled it. What I read really scared me. My first appointment with a rheumatologist was really scary. When I walked in, he didn't really explain to me what lupus was. All he said was, by the time I turned 40, I wouldn't be able to lift my finger like this. This is exactly what he said.
Doesn't that scare you?
It did. I didn't know what I had. And at that time, we not even realized that my kidneys had been affected.
This is the first thing the person is telling you?
Yes. So I think doctors need to be sensitized as well on how you should.
But surely, how does a doctor tell you at 40 you wouldn't be able to?
Yes.
Okay, it's fine. They can tell you that, but at the first point of contact,
that's the first line.
You don't even understand what this is.
Yes, explain to me what lupus is. Explain to me what my journey is going to be ahead. Explain to me that I still have to go for quite a few tests to figure out what I have.
What caused this?
Yes.
If at all there's a cause for this.
Yes.
What have I been doing wrong? What do I need to change, perhaps?
Yes. Because even when I was put on the aggressive immunosuppressant therapy, that time as well, the doctors told me that my hair would start falling out. As you can see, I've really maintained my hair because that scares you. You're told you'd blow up by another 10 kilos by the end of the year because of the steroids. Because I was on 60 mg a day. That's a lot. My face did blow up. I didn't really get the hunger pangs that is associated with steroids. I was okay food-wise. My diet pretty much remained clean. It remained the same. But I started getting acne on my face. So again, when you go out, when you finally go out and you want to socialize, you'll have random people coming to ask you that, you've grown so fat, and I have a treatment for your skin. But you don't know what I'm going through. Don't assume I've grown fat because I'm overeating junk food or something, or I'm not taking care of myself. So that stigma again stops you, or that makes you isolate yourself from the public. You're already dealing with so much. And then you go out there, you finally take the courage to go out there, and then people around you start with all these comments, and you're like, why did I even bother coming out?
Let's go back to that, to the point of that diagnosis. At this point in time, you said that you really didn't quite have the knowledge about it. So it was just a matter of trial and error. Google to try and find out what this is. Is there anything that causes this? Then you get to the doctor, and the first thing they tell you is that what will happen to you in the next 5, 10, whatever number of years that could be. What really is going through your mind at this point? I know it scares you.
Of course, because you think your life has ended. They tell you about the lifestyle change you're going to have, which is going to happen. as a personality, as a person, you actually die. There's a whole new you that's born. So you're dealing with that, and you're dealing with people reacting to the new you. So mentally that takes a hit on you as well. Yeah.
That's quite a lot.
Yeah.
You are diagnosed at this point at 23. In fact, those are the formative years. As a youth, quite literally, you're trying to explore and live and enjoy life. And just listening to both of you speak, I can imagine the stigma around this condition and disease. At that point of diagnosis, did you know what this is?
No. Actually, when I was told I have leukemia, I now started counting my days. Because now leukemia is cancer, so I was like, wow, no one in my family has such a thing. So, and then now lupus was discovered. And then I was like, what is lupus? Because it's something I've never heard. So when the doctor explained it to me, I was actually told that I can't get pregnant. Yeah, and you know, it's every woman's dream to have children, to have family. So my life was shattered.
This is the first thing the doctor is telling you?
Yeah.
They really need sensitization. You are told you can't lift your finger.
Yeah.
You are told you can't
get pregnant. And if I do, I won't pass 6 months. The
pregnancy won't pass 6 months?
Yeah. Okay. The cervix will just open and drop. The lupus will just drop the baby.
Okay, wow.
So you can imagine, you have the news, you have lupus. You don't even know what this is. And then you're told, this is something that it's going to affect your whole body, so your life will change. So whatever you used to do, you'll stop and now adjust to something else. So right there, you're a youth, you're starting to enjoy life. You're like, okay, now what's this? Yeah.
Why would a doctor tell you that? Okay, it's
and
true.
And then now you're reaching a place, you can't even meet your friends to have lunch, to have this fun. People say you're having fun with friends. Yeah. Because anytime you want to meet people, the joint pain comes. You're in front of people, you can't hold a spoon. So that results you to isolate yourself, because now people will start looking at you at other ways. Like me, there are people who kept on telling me it's like I'm cursed. It's like people in my family did something, so the results are coming to me. There are people who thought I had HIV and AIDS. Because even me, my face had blown completely. I had pimples, I had rashes. My skin was eaten. I had small wounds. It was like wounds all over my hands. So you can imagine. So many people kept on staring away from me, kept away from me. But there are others who understood. And I have family and friends who took their time and learned what this is. But still, it was hard for me. Because you're used to junk. Now you're told you can't eat. Now you're told you can't do white bread, you'll do brown. You can't do white rice, you'll do brown rice. You can't do white maize meal, you'll do brown. So you're like, okay. Because I remember when the doctor told me I have lupus, I just told him, just shoot me right now. Because I couldn't understand, how am I going to live now? And then I'm told, don't go out in the sun, don't do this, don't sit down for a long time, don't be in a stressful environment.
What's a long time?
Like, I was told I'm not supposed to sit down for like an hour.
We are almost an hour.
It'll be very painful for us to stand up right now, trust me.
My legs.
Really?
Yeah.
The legs.
Yeah.
You mean?
Yeah.
But then you get so used to, you don't even realize it. You don't even realize that you have, like, if I'm in a meeting and it's over an hour long, so I'll pretend I'm taking my time to, to fold my laptop and stuff. Yeah, because I'll slowly get up. I don't want everyone to see the pain I am in.
So you mean by the time we exit this set at 9:56?
Oh, trust me, we'll be limping.
It is that serious?
Yeah. It is that serious. Yeah. And then the muscle cramps on the legs increases.
Yes.
Completely. Like, you go into a bank, you stand in your line in there, you start having these cramps on your legs. You're feeling heavy. You're feeling dizzy. Your legs start swelling up.
There's also the lupus fog.
Yes.
That's what you forget things.
Like there's a time I went to the bank and I forgot my ATM. And I couldn't remember.
At the counter?
Yeah, I couldn't remember, what am I doing? Why did I come here to do?
Yeah. Yeah, I WhatsApp myself these days when I'm going out. So then I'll check, why have I gone out? It's happened. It's become very frequent for me now. Initially when it happened, it really scared me.
So you can leave this phone here, and you around this studio, and you really can't tell where you left it.
Yeah.
I'll remember like an hour later, like I had a phone and I've left it in the studio.
Yeah.
Even shopping, like the way you can be told to buy like 2 to 3 things,
Yes.
I have to write it down. Even if you tell
As
me,
an adult.
Yes.
even if you tell me 2 things, trust me, when I reach the supermarket, I will forget. I'll have either to call back home and ask, by the way, what did you send me?
This is as a result of the medication?
Yes.
Yes, it affects the brain. So you start forgetting things.
So now for those people who lupus affects the brain, they actually lose part of their memory. There are weekends, there are years that they will have no memory of, because that's what lupus has done to their brain.
Wow. In fact, I should say this is just takes grace. It's not an easy thing to manage. But then we are almost getting strapped for time. But the cost implication, because listening to you speak, both of you speak, and the fact that now you have medication is now your life. Change of diet, and we'll talk a bit about that. But then the cost implication, and also this taking cognizant of the fact that we have very few experts. How has that been like for you? Let me start with you, Verkita.
So the reason that I say I'm the brand ambassador is actually to get some awareness to the government or to the right officials, because I would really want the immunosuppressants to be subsidized. That is our main source of medication, and it is the most expensive, and that is majority of the reasons why we will die, because we cannot afford those immunosuppressants. So like the way the HIV patients and the cancer patients have subsidized medication, I would actually plead for the government to look at immunosuppressants and put a subsidy on that.
But there has been less discussion, conversation about this lupus even as a disease, talk of even its medication.
Yes.
But that's why you're here.
Yes.
The cost implication of this from or on your end as someone, as a lupus warrior, I would say, to what end has it dipped into your pocket?
Really, really deep, really deep. Because like for a week, I will, my drugs for 1 week, I'll buy them at almost 2,500.
That's for a week?
Just for a week. And sometimes more. Because you know when you go back to the doctor, he keeps on adding drugs. So you can, like, I'm doing 15.
How many times do you see the doctor?
After every 3 months.
You have to see the doctor.
Sometimes I take longer, because financial strains, because now you know you have to do tests and they're really expensive. You can spend almost 40,000 on a test.
On a single test?
Multiple tests.
Multiple tests.
Multiple tests. You can do like 10 tests and then you spend like 40,000. And then you have to pay the doctor, right? And then also you have to buy the medicine. So it's really, really stressful as a warrior. I would actually, like what she said, I would actually recommend that we have insurance as lupus patients, because like you said, lupus is not known and it's not talked a lot.
Yeah.
So when you tell somebody about lupus, they're like, what is that? So when you start explaining, you know these medicines, you know it's expensive, they're like, what is that actually? Is that a disease? Is it a part? Many people think lupus is a part of cancer, which is not. But unfortunately, lupus doesn't have its own medicines. We share from other diseases. Like you can find a lupus person taking medicine for a cancer person, because he or she has symptoms of somebody who has cancer. But it's not that he has cancer or she has cancer, but it's to treat that symptom, so it will not generate something bigger.
Okay.
So I wouldn't say lupus has a specific drug that you can say, like for headache I can take Panadol. No, we don't. We just take those immunosuppressants to help our immune system and to help also our cells to be able to fight this disease and to stabilize it and make it to be dormant and not active.
I hear you.
Yeah.
Now that you say that you do share drugs from other diseases, that's why you earlier on had talked about chemotherapy.
Yeah.
And this is specifically for those with, for those who specifically who've been affected with the lupus, to which organ?
It could be any, so it depends if the doctor is going to decide that maybe that's the way to go. So yeah, so you'll be told to go for a round or 2 of chemotherapy to totally kill your immune system. So again, it depends on your condition and it depends on the doctor. Like I have personally, I've never done it. And I've reached a stage where my body cannot handle it anymore now.
It can't handle chemo?
No, because my kidneys are done.
They've completely failed.
Yeah.
So that, do you think also there needs to perhaps be more study of this? I mean, we just 8 rheumatologists, and I did mention this earlier, against a population of 50 million Kenyans, with the whole idea that I would say very few Kenyans know of even what lupus is. I'm not so sure if even many of us know we have a Lupus Awareness Month.
Yes.
Is this something we need to be thinking about?
Yes. Yes.
What can be done from where you sit, just as an ambassador, as a lupus warrior? Verkita, before we get to the foods and diet.
So when, like I said, I had a plea to the government to reduce or subsidize the immunosuppressants, I was told the #1 challenge is because there is no data on how many people have lupus in the country. So as of a year ago, Kenyatta National Hospital had started a data collection. I don't know how far they are with that. So again, it comes down to the government and to the government officials to actually start this process and to do something about it. What we can do is create noise and create awareness, and hopefully someone will hear us out.
How do you do that? Before Mariam tells us how she does it, how do you do that as a brand ambassador?
On your social media, interviews like this, PR things like this, that's the only way to get the news out. And the only reason I'm doing this is because in 2018 I actually thought of giving up, and my rheumatologist said you have to talk about this disease because no one knows what you're going through. If you do not tell people what you're going through, no one can help you. Yeah.
How do you do this, Mariam? How do you create awareness?
Currently, I'm in a group called Lupus Foundation of Africa. And we have lupus patients, victims in that group. So far, we are like 300 plus people who have lupus in that group. And I talk it out. Just like how I do interviews, social media, my Facebook, Instagram. I talk to people. I actually educate some people, like families. So that's basically what I do.
So basically, awareness for both of you is using what you have.
Yes.
Social media mostly, and when you get a chance on mainstream like this.
Yeah, because then you'll have people reaching out who've just been diagnosed with lupus and they're lost and they don't know what to do. So you help them, because I wish I had someone like that when I found out. It was so hard to like ask around and find out who has this, who understands what I am going through. And if you don't talk about it, you'll never know.
Yeah, and my director is asking if this affects both men and women. Yes, it does. We said that earlier, it does affect both men and women. It's not a gender.
But mostly it affects women. 80% it affects women.
But it does affect both genders.
Yes, it does.
Flora, it does affect both genders. Prevalence is high on women, but does affect both genders. On the question of diet, we have about 3 minutes to exit the space. Diet. How does that change completely?
Well, for me, it changed completely. Like
so now there are foods you can't just eat.
Like junk food I can't even eat because it makes me start feeling low, fatigue, sleepy, pain in the body starts crumbling slowly. White foods like white bread. So I'm supposed to eat a whole grain meal. Brown rice.
Another cost.
Yes. Soft drinks. I can't take soft drinks.
Can't take soda?
No, that can rupture my heart immediately.
Now listen, when you said cost implication, we now didn't just talk about what you pay to the doctor. Look at that. That's another cost. You can't eat fruits, Verkita.
So apart from that, even your clothes, because you don't know what size you're going to be. It seems very minute, but it's a cost. You don't know whether you should buy big clothes or are you going to shrink, because your size changes based on your medication as well. It affects everything. Yes.
Talk to me about the fruits.
So because my kidneys have failed, so now I'm on a low potassium diet, and my body doesn't react well to medication that's linked to diabetes. So I cannot eat fruits anymore because my body can't handle those sugars. I'm on a low potassium diet, so it's very minimum stuff. I'm a vegetarian, so didn't really affect me because I was told to stay off from red meat. However, I have been told I have to eat fish because it has the omega that has that little immunity that can, or the proteins that can sustain my body. So I had to learn how to eat fish at least 3 times a week to just maintain myself.
They don't come cheap, you know.
Yeah.
As we conclude, what is this that you want Kenyans to know, different stakeholders, even as you continue commemorating the Lupus Awareness Month in this month? Mariam, start with you on that one.
What I'll tell the Kenyans is, don't take your health in a light manner. When you start feeling a little pain, even tooth pain can cause lupus. If you start experiencing something, don't take it lightly, go to the hospital. If you have a prolonged cold, go to the hospital. Yeah, because it might give birth to something else. And these days people are having lupus. So many people are having lupus and they don't know that they have lupus. Like that group, Lupus Foundation of Africa, yeah. So many youngsters from the age of 10 are having lupus. And you hear their stories, how they started, you're like, oh my. You hear somebody saying, me, I started by having a toothache. Mm-hmm. Yeah?
I hear you.
I would also request the government to support us and have an insurance cover for us, because having lupus and medication is very expensive.
I hear you. Well
so
said.
it's a cry to the government and to the institutions, and to have more doctors.
I hear you.
Yeah.
Verkita, very few seconds. What will be your last word?
Like she said, if you're in pain, do not take it lightly. Go see a doctor and explain to them properly what you're going through. I think also that would help, that medical practitioner maybe diagnose it properly, or send you for the right test, or send you to the right doctor. Yeah. Also, we have the benefit of having internet. Google your symptoms, figure out which doctor you can go see. You can actually help yourself now. Do not medicate, but go look for the right help.
Yeah, well said.
Yeah.
I mean, I couldn't thank you more, ladies, just for taking your time. Also knowing the implication of sitting here for the 15 minutes plus you've sat here. But I say thank you so much for creating time for us, and for at least helping us understand what exactly this is and what we need to do as a people, a community, society, and at large, even the stakeholders and policymakers.
Yes.
Asante sana.
Thank you so much for having us.
So much.
Thank you too. I've been speaking to Verkita Dabral, to my far right, brand ambassador for Lupus. Right next to her is Mariam Karanja, Lupus warrior, and this is in regards to the Lupus Awareness Month, which does happen on the 8th of May, but runs across the entire month, just to create awareness for this condition, what exactly this is, what causes it if there's any, and just how to deal and manage this kind of condition or disease. That is what has formed base of this discussion for the last 56 minutes, and good place to end this discussion. And ultimately, good morning, Kenya, from me and on behalf of the entire team. Asante sana, till tomorrow. Good morning.